it's Whitney, and welcome back to another episode of the Healthy Balanced Vegan Body. Or should it be the Healthy Vegan Balanced Body? No, I think the first one's right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still working on the title. I would love more of your input. I love to get things just right so that they sound the most appealing to you. And if you're brand new to this series, let me tell you a little bit about it. You can check out the videos up below to see what I've done in the past. It's all about getting the body that you really want, whether you want to lose weight, gain weight, put on some muscle, get toned, finding that optimal place that you really, really want to be through the plant-based diet and a healthy lifestyle, so including exercise and other decisions that we can make. I'm going to be talking about a new book every single week, every Wednesday here on this channel, and today I'm covering the Forks Over Knives plan and some content from the other Forks Over Knives books. If you haven't seen the documentary yet, I highly recommend it. It was an incredibly successful documentary all about the plant-based diet and lifestyle, and it's changed so many lives. I've linked to it down below as well as the books and anything else I'm going to talk about today. I'm also including a way for you guys to get the notes from these books. I took 7 pages of notes here to help you out, all of my favorite parts of the books, the key insights that I've discovered. So if you don't have time to watch this whole video right now, you can sign up for that newsletter and it will be delivered to you for you to download and keep for yourself. I recommend you following along with the books if you can, but really the point of this series is to do a lot of that work for you. Since I'm going to be reading at least 20 books, I know some of you don't want to spend the time doing that. You really just want to get straight to the point. You want those tips. That's the whole point of this. So I've been reading the Forks Over Knives plan for the past week. I also read these books, and I have been implementing the tips from this book as well as following the recipes. This book has 100 recipes. The original Forks Over Knives book doesn't quite say, a bunch of recipes in it. And then the Forks Over Knives cookbook has over 300 recipes, which is really helpful. I only ended up trying, I think, about 4 so far, but they were really great. And I've had experience with Forks Over Knives for years. I actually was involved with making this film years ago when it came out. I assisted the producer, Brian Wendell, and I've done a lot of photography for them. So if you go on their website, you'll find some of my photos of their food. I cooked all sorts of things, including their Thanksgiving menu. So if you're trying to wonder how you can eat a healthy Thanksgiving dinner, they've got a great plan for you to check out, and I'll link to that on their website down below, of course, too. You'll see some of my photos. I think they're still up there. But anyways, Forks Over Knives has been a big part of my life since it came out. I think I saw it in 2010, and I think that's when it came out too. But anyways, it's really been something that's been on my mind, but I haven't really followed the plan up until now. So what I'm going to do today is give you a summary of it and tell you a little bit about my experience. And again, there's a lot of notes here. I covered Crazy Sexy Diet by Chris Carr last week. You can check that out if you click up on the letter I up above and down below in the description field. And for that book, I think I only took like 3 or 4 pages of notes, so this was almost double. There's a ton of info. I'm going to try to go through it really, really fast so you can get to the juice of it all. So this book is a 4-week transition guide written by 2 classically trained MDs, so doctors, who take a food-first approach to practicing medicine. So I guess they agree with my t-shirt, "Food is my healthcare." If you didn't know about this shirt yet, you can check it out down below. I actually sell these, and I only have a few left, so get them before they're gone. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue printing them. Anyway, so food is healthcare, right? That's really what they believe, and these 2 doctors were featured in the documentary. They really are aiming to provide you with a roadmap to health, and it certainly is true. This was such an easy to read book. I read it in a few hours, and you can actually pace it out to do it week by week, but I kind of compressed it all into 1 week. But it's really go at your own pace. So the aim of this is actually not to count calories, which might be relieving. In fact, most of the books that I'm going to be covering are not about counting calories, and that's one of the benefits of the whole foods plant-based diet, is it's not about restriction or deprivation. It's not about a short-term solution. It's about a long-term sustainable solution to getting yourself to that place of health and your body to the place where you want it to be. The ultimate goal of this program is simple. It's to leave you energized and free from debilitating chronic conditions so you can spend less time in the doctor's office and more time with the people who are important to you. Engage in the activities that you enjoy. Sounds pretty good. So this book really isn't about weight loss, but there are a ton of tips about weight loss. They don't really talk about weight gain. It's more also about balancing your body. So again, wherever you want to be, whatever your goals are, you can find it through following this plan. It's about getting freedom from the destructive fallacy that you must restrict and deprive yourself in order to eat healthfully and lose weight. So you do not have to suffer if you're not in a place where you want to be with your body yet. It really can be a simple, really peaceful experience. They believe that a whole foods plant-based diet is centered on whole, unrefined, or minimally refined plants based on fruits, vegetables, tubers, whole grains, and legumes. It excludes or minimizes meat, dairy products, and eggs, as well as highly refined foods like bleached flour, refined sugars, and oils. Now, oil is a huge topic in the vegan community, and I'm really excited to dive deep into that because they provide a ton of data in this book about it. They want you to think of this as a lifestyle, not a diet. I think that is a really important distinction to make. Diets are often associated with that deprivation, that restriction. Lifestyle is something that you're doing long term that is encompassing every part of your life, not just when it comes to food and exercise. I love this point that they made in the book. Humans and their domesticated pets are the only earthly creatures that suffer from being overweight and obese. We're also the only creatures who practice portion control. However, if we eat the foods that are appropriate for our species, which is whole plant-based foods, then we will be able to eat without portion control and naturally reach a comfortable weight. So that kind of encompasses all of the tips. I could probably just end this video right there, but I really loved that perspective. They get into a lot of details about the specifics around what we eat and health and all of that. For instance, calories. So a calorie is the measure of the energy in the food. If we increase the number of calories in our diet, we will gain weight. That's something many of us know. And if we eat less of them, then the pounds will come off. But it's not always that simple for a lot of us, and they really dig down into why that is. So a couple things that you might have not known or thought of before is leafy vegetables are actually a very poor calories or energy source. It is virtually impossible to get enough calories from leafy vegetables alone to form a sustainable diet. Not eating enough calories can lead you to feel hungry, which over time will result in decreased energy, feelings of deprivations, cravings, and even binges. So leafy vegetables are complementary foods that you eat regularly. They are not meant to be the main energy source on your plate. So many people associate the vegan lifestyle, the plant-based diet with greens, with grass, with leaves like kale and all of that. But what they believe in this diet is actually that's a very small part of your diet. It's more eating them for the nutrients and for the taste, not for the bulk of the foods that you're eating. The center of your plate is now going to be the starch-based comfort foods. Tubers like potatoes and sweet potatoes, starchy vegetables like corn and peas, whole grains like brown rice, millet, quinoa, and buckwheat, and legumes like chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, and lima beans. That's a good majority of what you will be eating. They recommend not drinking your calories or your food, for example, juices or plant-based milks. And they even say that smoothies can be enjoyed occasionally if you desire them, but should not be a major part of your diet. So that's very different from Chris Carr's perspective that I covered last week with the Crazy Sexy diet. So some of these people are not going to agree with one another, and that's okay. It's really about whatever is going to work best for you. So coming back to calories, if you generally consume foods with a higher calorie density, they will take up less space in your stomach and you will tend to consume more calories than you need in order to feel full. So this is often what leads to someone being overweight or obese. But they say don't try to resist eating additional low calorie density foods when you're hungry. Plant-based foods usually won't make you gain weight as long as you're eating an average calorie density of 550 or fewer calories per pound. Now, some of us don't really want to count calories, don't want to measure all of this out, and they say don't worry about that, because if you eat the right foods that they recommend over and over again in this book, you won't have to count anything. You'll just naturally fall in line with that. In order to reach a comfortable body weight, we simply need to choose the right foods, which is much easier and more effective than counting calories or controlling our portion sizes. Isn't that relieving to hear? I mean, who wants to count calories and restrict the amount of food that we're eating? If weight loss is your primary goal, lowering the calorie density of your meals will help the weight come off faster. Begin meals with foods that have a lower calorie density. For example, try beginning your meal with some fruit or a salad. So that's an easy little shift to make, right? Instead of jumping into like the super rich foods, start off with the low calorie dense foods to add some things to your stomach so it can fill up faster before you have everything else. The foundation of this diet is a carbohydrate-based whole foods such as potatoes, beans, and rice. And they say 75 to 80% of your calories will come from carbohydrates. And like I mentioned, you don't need to shoot for this number. It'll happen naturally provided that your diet is based on fruits, vegetables, tubers, whole grains, and legumes. So if you focus around that, you'll reach this level. And in fact, they really advocate for the 80-10-10 diet, which we'll cover at some other point. But unlike what's commonly associated with 80-10-10, this is a cooked plant-based diet, not a raw 80-10-10 diet. And we'll cover the raw side of it in another video. I love this point too. These doctors have found that some of their patients have lost weight and reversed disease simply by adding a baked potato or two before every meal. So going back to that idea of adding in these low calorie dense foods before you eat, such as a salad, such as fruit, you can do this with a baked potato too, which is super satisfying, and that can be a quick little thing to try to help you lose weight. So let's get into oil, shall we? I know you're probably curious about this. They say oil is a bad idea because it's highly refined and its nutritional package is inadequate. All the nutrients, including protein, carbohydrates, vitamins, minerals, fiber, and water, have been thrown away. And they wonder, why would you waste calories on something that has no nutrients in it other than fat? That's a great question. I think so many of us associate food tasting good or being easy to cook with oil, and there's oil in practically everything, which makes it so tough. And I've really struggled with removing oil from my diet because I didn't really know how to. And this book helped me immensely. That's probably the biggest thing I got out of reading this book, was figuring out how to remove oil from my diet. And it's made a big difference in even just a week's time. They say if you're trying to lose weight, it can be very useful to track what you consume and when. This not only holds you accountable, but also allows you to measure your progress as well. So if you want, you can start a little food and even a food and mood journal to know exactly what you're eating, how you feel after it. I personally find that to be, I don't know, I've tried it and then I end up stopping after a few days. It just becomes too much for me. But some people enjoy it. You just bring a little journal with you. You can put it on your phone. There are all sorts of applications that you use. See if that helps you out. All right, now I know a number of you struggle with cravings, and this is something I can totally relate to. They have so many great tips about handling cravings in this book. And what I love is how they phrase it as cravings are not a weakness nor a lack of moral character. So a lot of us feel so guilty and we get upset with ourselves when we have cravings. We feel like bad people, that we're unhealthy, and it's so important to let go of that emotional side of this. And they go into great depth on that. Again, you can get the notes if you sign up for the mailing list, and that has all these details that I'm leaving out at the moment. They said that dieting is destined to fail because it emphasizes what we can't eat. Restriction and portion control go against our natural desire to eat to satiation. Cravings for unhealthy foods tend to pass over time as you transition to finding healthy foods that you love. So don't worry about the cravings. Don't try to restrict them. Don't try to portion control them. Just start bringing in all these healthy foods that they recommend, and you'll naturally start to reduce those cravings and shed off any of that excess weight if it's being there. And if you want to put on weight, it should start to come on and your body should get more balanced overall. They also get into details about sugar. So sugar as it occurs in whole foods is not an issue. It is necessary and should be embraced. Sugar is only a problem when it's extracted from its natural package and used to excess. So don't be concerned about sugar in whole foods like fruit. In fact, they really recommend eating a lot of fruit. Have as much as you want, they say. A great way to turn off the cravings for high sugar, high fat, high sodium foods is to eat some fruit, because the natural sweetness of it seems to shut off the drive to eat sugary junk food. So have some fruit around you. Have some apples, bananas, berries, whatever you love. Keep them in your kitchen. Keep them around in their whole fresh form. Dried fruit is very high in sugar. They don't talk about that much in this book, but I would recommend having the fresh fruit over the dried fruit. Okay, a few tips for you about how to take the oil out of your regimen if you're used to cooking with it, baking with it, all of that. So to avoid cooking with oil, like sauteing vegetables, you can use non-stick pots and pans. There are some really great eco-friendly alternatives to that I can link to down below. You can use heavy-bottom stainless steel pans, which is what I use, or enamel-coated cast iron and ceramic titanium pans. So there's all sorts of different options, and these actually help prevent things from sticking to your pan, which you would normally use oil. If you're sauteing and stir frying, instead of using oil or even butter, you can use vegetable broth, vegetable stock, or water. The trick is to not use too much liquid. They actually say let it brown on the bottom and then use like a spoon or something to lift it up and to add more liquid into it, mix it all around. Just put a little bit in at a time. And then when it comes to baking, you can use pureed fruit such as unsweetened applesauce, dates, or crushed pineapple as an alternative to oil. I haven't tried that yet. Have any of you? I've heard it works very well. Okay, a couple more things for you. Number one, when it comes to exercise, they really believe that when you follow this plan that you'll want to exercise more, and that's so true. I have been exercising a ton lately. They say don't let your inability or unwillingness to exercise, if you're feeling that way, prevent you from starting your new eating program. So start changing your diet as soon as possible. They say abs are made in the kitchen, right? I think exercise is super important, but they're really emphasizing food first. So if you're feeling like lazy, low energy, or you don't know how to fit your exercise routine into your schedule, or you don't know what to do yet, start with the food. Don't feel like they have to be directly connected and happen simultaneously. One last thing is they do not recommend people taking supplements except for B12. This is something that they agree upon with Chris Carr. One thing that they disagree on, though, is they say that you should get sufficient vitamin D from sun exposure. I don't think this is meant to be an absolute thing. Each of us are going to differ a little bit, as I mentioned in that other video, but they say that you should not get vitamin D from milk or fortified foods in which the vitamin does not occur naturally. So, in other words, get some sun. They recommend not having alcohol, and they also say don't worry about the glycemic index, which is something that Chris Carr really emphasizes. So I thought that was fascinating. To wrap it all up, this is a diet. This is not a diet of deprivation. You do not have to avoid satisfying flavors to be healthy. The more realistic you are with yourself along your path, the greater your chance for sustainable results. And lastly, promise yourself that if you begin to feel strong cravings for unhealthy foods, you'll pause long enough to contemplate what it is you're really missing. And for most of us, that's going to be a whole foods, plant-based choice. So check out this book and the other books for some great recipes. In terms of some specific recipes that I tried out, I got really into this quick breakfast wrap, which was a tortilla with peanut butter and apple butter and fruit in it. It's so delicious. I've had it many times for breakfast, plus also as a snack, even for lunch one day. I've also been eating a lot of oatmeal for breakfast, and there's a ton of recipes in here about how to mix up your oatmeal to make it more interesting. For lunch, I've made the cream of broccoli soup, which was super easy to make and very satisfying. I've also had the sweet potato mac and cheese, which I didn't love, but I wondered if maybe I just kind of screwed up the recipe. And I got ingredients to make a ton of other things like spinach potato tacos, a potato vegetable chowder, coconut dill rice, chestnut soup, quinoa and sweet potato shepherd's pie, and a millet coconut curry. I'm super excited to try those out. I actually document what I eat every single day on another channel called What a Vegan Eats. It's linked to you down below, so if you want to follow along with my daily food journey, you can check out those videos. They're usually between 2 to 7 minutes in length, so they don't take a ton of time to watch. And lastly, for a sweet treat, I tried their fast cookies, which are just like oatmeal and chocolate and peanut butter, all simple ingredients, and those were really, really satisfying. I'm going to be making their crispy rice bars, which I've made before, and their peanut butter granola bars, plus maybe their squash pudding. I'm also going to finally take a hand at making my own vegetable stock. They have a super simple recipe in here. And speaking of simple, most of the recipes in all of these books are really easy and inexpensive. When you're buying these whole foods, when you're shopping at stores where they have good prices on produce, where they have bulk sections where you can get ingredients without, buying a ton of them, you can really do it inexpensively. I've talked about this many times. I have a whole book on this subject matter called Healthy, Organic, Vegan on a Budget that shows you how to eat really great whole foods for less than $5 a day, including breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All the details on that are down below, but seriously, just by following the recipes here, you'll easily fall into that place. So I think that's it today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give it a thumbs up. And let me know, have you tried the Forks Over Knives plan? Have you seen the documentary? Have you made any of their recipes? They also have an app. I know a few of you have been using that app, so I'd love to hear any of your stories about what your favorite foods are, any success stories you've had about getting your body to the place that you want to be. And if you have questions for an upcoming video, please let me know in the comments below. I want to make sure that I incorporate as much as what you want into these videos as possible, because they really are for you. Thank you so much. If you want to follow along more with the journey here, you can join the Eco Vegan Gal book club. That is available for people that are part of the Patreon community. I've linked to a video up below that explains that, and of course down below as well. If you want to check that out, you can get a lot more involved with that. You can really become part of the Eco Vegan Gal community and support the work that I'm doing. I make over 40 videos a month right now across all my channels. So this one, What a Vegan Eats, Uncensored, the Venture channel. I'm even going to be launching, or not relaunching, but putting more content on my dog channel. So lots of content out there. I really want to support you in finding that healthy, happy, eco-friendly lifestyle that you're after, and I really appreciate you being part of all of this. I look forward to reading your comments. If you have any questions, again, leave them down below, or you can fill out one of the forms that are linked to you down below. And I'm here for you. I'll see you on social media. If you want to find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, wherever you like to hang out, I am there every single day of the week. And I will see you next Wednesday. Thanks again. Bye.